Happy Monday. It is another week, and it's a great week to be a Sun Devil. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the PHNX Sun Devil Show, brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Don't forget to leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe, even leave a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. I am Anthony Totri.
Yeah, you are.
Joined, as always, on this new Coach Monday by Shaun DePaz to my right, Shane Diefenbach to my left. Gentlemen, happy Monday. What's up, chat? How y'all doing on this fine Monday?
One of my favorite things.
How many times have you said Monday?
Monday.
One of my favorite things to do is address the chat as one big entity. Yeah. Like they're all in the same exact room.
They're all in this together.
Yeah. What's up, chat?
How are you guys doing? Haven't had much of a weekend.
As Charles said, it's day one AH.
It's one AH. Yep.
New era. Not the hat company. A new era in Tempe.
Good idea.
You know what? Actually, let's not make this about Herm. Let's make it about
everything
before this was BAE before Aguano era, and now it is AE Aguano
After
era.
Effects.
Yes, beautiful.
Yes.
Well, I'm sure you guys have heard.
How is there already a U of A fan in here?
They came here to laugh at us, and they're sticking around.
Hey, I'm glad y'all are here. Y'all got your guy.
Even your head coach likes
y'all
our
got
show.
your guy. Look, Shaun Aguano had his first press conference today as the interim head coach at Arizona State. Before we get into some of the clips, I know you guys have seen some of the clips yourselves. I was there for the entire press conference, and I'll tell you what, man, this guy, people are going to love Shaun Aguano.
Run through a wall.
I mean,
Dude,
I'm ready.
I literally almost started
wall.
tearing up.
Yeah, I was getting so fired up. I mean, it's good to have somebody who cares.
He cares though. Like that I think is the biggest thing that I don't think a lot of people really took the time to understand about Herm. I think we agreed Herm wanted to win. Nobody wants to be the head coach and they don't want to lose. But like, it is tough from Herm's perspective, coming from ESPN. He didn't really have any ties or connection to Arizona outside of Ray, moved his whole family here, whatever. Like, Shaun Aguano, and he says it in some of the clips, but like, he's from Arizona. He's been here for such a long time. Well, not from Arizona, but like, he's lived here for such a long time. Obviously, Chandler High School had a lot of success with him at the helm. He's a guy that you want to rally around.
Here's the biggest thing for me is you're not just promoting some guy in the program to be the head coach. You're not just promoting the next man up. You're promoting a guy that not one obviously deserves it, but two has been around this and is waiting for his shot, and now he has it, and he cares so damn much. Like, he has been prepared for this.
Yeah. It is crazy. And like, I don't want to say necessarily that Herm didn't care, but it's hard to care in the way that Aguano does.
Exactly.
He definitely
you can't
cared.
fake that.
Yeah.
Like, but
it's more passion.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy because it seems like most people, if you were like, yeah, they were coaching high school football 4 or 5 years ago, whatever it was, and now they're the head coach of a major Power 5 program, they'd be like, what the fuck? Like, that doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
It seems right with him. Yeah. Like, A, obviously you can tell he cares, but B, like we've said, everything that we've heard about him from the player's perspective, like, they love this guy, and he's pretty fucking good at his job. Obviously, the running backs at this school have been the most dominant position group over the last few years. And if he can have just a shred of that effect on the rest of the team, particularly the rest of the offense, it's going to be good. He does spell his name wrong. That's okay. We can look past that. It's more of a Shaun unity thing, phonetically, than it is.
Is it like a Twins thing? Like, you know exactly what he's thinking, like, at all times.
Yes.
So
right now he's thinking about what shirt he's about to put on. He's shirtless. He's changing right now. Yeah.
That's crazy. What's Sean Mannion thinking right now? You know?
Not really.
No.
It doesn't. I can only focus on one Sean at a time. I don't have control over what Sean I'm connected with in any given time. It just so happens that I'm with Aguano.
Another thing.
Actually, and now it's Shaun White. He just did a kickflip.
Nice.
Wow, that's crazy.
Another thing, on a skateboard or snowboard?
Both.
Wow.
Like one on each foot. It was crazy. It's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
He's practicing some new shit too.
It's
like Quantum Leap. I'm like in his body now.
All right. Well, back to
this Shaun.
Yeah. The biggest thing too, or another big thing for me is you're not going from a one extreme to another extreme.
Yeah.
You know, because Doug Holler in the article he wrote, kind of detailing Herm at ASU in the Athletic. Great article if you haven't read it yet. this line really stuck out to me. He said, one thing Edwards had in his favor, he was incredibly popular, a celebrity in the sports world. And then he goes on to say, more so, however, he was a gentleman in an ego-dominated profession. Because it is.
Yeah.
I mean, so many of these coaches, high egos. What I do is the only way to do it. My word is the final word. You don't get that from Herm, but you definitely don't get that from Shaun Aguano.
No, not at all. But he was honest today. He said in like motto that he had at Chandler was, when it always came down to it, he always wanted his guys to be going against the premier talent in the country in terms of high school football. And Chandler was a top tier program, not just in Arizona, but for a while they were ranked nationally as well. And that is in large part because of Shaun Aguano. He says he wants the same here, right? Like, obviously these 9 games, 10 games and change, whatever, are his audition for this permanent job. And he wants the job. Yeah. Like, he made that very clear. Like, regardless of what's to come, NCAA investigation, whatever, he wants this job long term and means a lot to him long term. Now, in terms of scheduling down the line, it'll be interesting to see, because top tier talent, like
ASU at Alabama, 2026.
Shit, you've got, if he believes his guys have what it takes to compete with top tier talent in the nation, top 3 teams, whatever, this is your test right now. You got top 15 Utah coming to town, and then you got to go play a ranked USC team and a ranked UW team. Like, it's not going to get any tougher in terms of conference play than right now.
No, it's a prove it time for sure. And this is kind of what you want, just getting thrown into a fire, because as we said, this wasn't a national championship or even probably a Pac-12 championship contending team prior to the season. Yeah. Like, you want this. You want the smoke right now. You want to be thrown into it. And I'm sure the players are more motivated than they've ever been.
Oh, yeah. They're fired up. And a lot of the fans are fired up because of the press conference. We've talked a lot about it. Let's take a look at what Shaun Aguano had to say in terms of an opening statement this morning.
Hi, guys. I appreciate you being here. Our kids and our coaches have been through a lot in the last 24 hours. My focus now is the next 9 games and conference games. How do I inspire these guys to play fast, physical football? That's my number one. Making sure that I take care of the kids. That's the most important thing for me. I gave them 24 hours to grieve, and then we got to get back to business. And so that's hard for some individuals. They had a player-led meeting that went very, very well, and they're all in. I had a meeting with our coaching staff, and we are all in. It is a bittersweet, because Coach Edwards is my dear friend and gave me the opportunity. This opportunity, on the grand scale of things, is a dream for me as well. And all I can ask is for opportunity. So what do I do with that opportunity in the next 9 games? Is to try to put a product on the field that the Sun Devil Nation is proud of, and I'm going to do my best. And you'll get every effort that I have, heart and soul, into this program. I wanted to thank Dr. Crow. I had a conversation with him, as well as Ray and Gene and the senior staff, and it has all been positive. So I'm ready to get to work. I'm glad we had one more day off that is a non-mandated for our kids to come in, so I can catch my breath a little bit before practice starts. But I understand I don't take this lightly. I'm an Arizona guy. I've been here for 20-some years. I understand the landscape and what it means. My kids are born in Arizona. There's not one coach that I think in the nation that loves Arizona and is in place at Arizona State that it'll think can do a better job than I can. That's just the way I always bet on myself. But just to let you understand, my kids are Arizona kids. And so this means a lot for me. This means a lot for my family. I get emotional. I think this means a lot for the coaches of Arizona and their dreams and an inspiration for them. So I got a lot on my back.
Apologize for the tilted video. My hand got tired.
You were crying.
Hey, just like Aguano, I appreciate the honesty.
Yeah, man. It is what it is. I bet on myself too, but sometimes you fail. You just got to get back at it. What'd you take away from just that first couple minutes?
A piece of my heart.
Yeah.
he took that away from me. Oh my God, man. It's just such a, as we said multiple times, a breath of fresh air. And Arizona ties, man. Herm didn't recruit in Arizona. Yeah. This man is going to be pulling Arizona recruits. You know who's an Arizona talent that went to Arizona State? N'Keal Harry. You know who coached N'Keal Harry at Chandler? Like, it's big.
And Chase Lucas.
Yeah, it's big, man. Having somebody like this who has so much confidence in himself and was almost just waiting for this opportunity the entire time, kind of sitting there licking his chops. It's exciting, and he's going to be very well liked, not just within the media, but also just within the fan base.
Yeah. And dude, the fucking confidence. Like, it's like, it's awesome that he's like, has these dreams and everything, but also the fact that he's just like, I believe in myself, which is saying something, because like he does not have experience doing this at all. He was a position coach in a college, and then all of a sudden he's a head coach. Like, it's the fact that he believes in himself like that, and also just that he realizes this is bigger than him, right? Like, not that Herm ever thought it was about him, but we talk about how the control he wanted to have over the program, blah, blah, blah. Like, he realizes that this is even bigger than the school, like what this can mean for Arizona high school football coaches and what it can mean for just the state in general, his family, like all of that. It just, you could tell that his mind and his heart is in the right place.
And his hair is in the right place.
His hair is in the right place.
He's got some gray hair.
It's so just like just a breath of fresh air, really. Like it is, just feels good. It feels right.
I think LTC kind of encapsulates it. Just finished watching Coach Aguano's presser, pulled his beating heart out of his own chest, Edgar Allan Poe style, and told everyone here, this is what I will do for Arizona State football. He let it all out, and he was honest, brutally honest, saying, I'm glad we had that extra day, but we got to reset. 24-hour turnaround. Love hearing that the player-led meeting went well. Love hearing that the coaches are bought in. They're all ready.
And even if the Shaun Aguano experiment goes horribly wrong, like you're at least you're gonna be able to know, like, because I think that's part of the thing with Herm and why it got so like there was so much vitriol towards him. I think towards the end is it's just like a lot of people didn't feel like he ever really cared about this, or that his heart was in the right place, whatever. Like with Aguano, you're gonna know, I think, at the end of the day, unless he fucking is just like, JK, I've been spying for Arizona this whole time, like, or he's out here like cheating. Like, you're gonna know that he at least tried and his heart was in the right place, and that just has to give you a little bit of faith in the program, knowing that they're doing something for and what we talked about with Ray too, like after his presser, like doing things for kind of the right reasons. And it seems like the entire program kind of has their head on straight now. It just makes you feel good.
There's something about wanting a team to succeed, and there's another thing about wanting a coach to succeed. I feel like he makes you, as a human being, as a person, not only for Arizona State, but he makes you want Arizona State to win for him.
Right? I feel like it's kind of like Jedd Fisch, right? Like, for us, obviously hate Arizona, but like you could tell that Jedd Fisch seems like a good guy, or like Tommy Lloyd. Like you want them as people to succeed. You don't want their school to succeed. And I feel like it's got like the other way around. When you see a guy like this, even if you don't like Arizona State, you're like, it's hard to root against somebody like that.
That is so
personal level
about your state too.
Right? Like it's kind of like a rising tide lifts all ships. We want the Territorial Cup to be competitive. We want Arizona and Arizona State to be having former high school teammates playing against each other to bring that rivalry to the next level. And that only happens if everyone is kind of focused on making Arizona football amazing.
And what Coach Evan B does bring up, the point that every ASU fan is probably thinking, from Cutter, Erickson, Graham, now Herm. I'm in wait and see mode. Skeptical now, but love what I hear.
And it's definitely wait and see mode. He has to prove it, but
you don't win the job just at a press conference.
At least he knows who the mascot is.
That's very true. And I think what he understands too, along with being authentic and real and wanting this because, you know, he is an Arizona guy, he understands and mentioned that winning is the only thing that's going to get him this job. He understands that winning is the only thing that's going to quiet everybody that says he can't do it. At the end of the day, in terms of recruiting too, as much as he wants to recruit these Arizona guys, a lot of Arizona guys are getting offers because they're so talented from big name schools. What keeps Arizona guys? ASU beating Utah at home, beating USC on the road, beating Washington. Like, those are things that get Arizona recruits to stay in Arizona and come play for ASU, and he understands that. I think one of the things that really stuck out to me is, like, he said this was a dream come true for him, which Herm was on the tail end of his career in general, right? So, like, it was less of that, okay, like, you know, I really, really want this guy to succeed. It was almost separate. Like, if Herm succeeds, the team succeeds. But you want to see Shaun Aguano win. He talked about when he was a high school coach, how he would go to these high school like meetings in terms of like there's a bunch of high school football coaches, and his very first one, he sat in the very back row, right? There's like 40 rows of high school football coaches, and they hear from a very successful high school football coach, and then after that, they hear from a Division I football coach. So every year, he made it a point to go up a couple rows, and to the point where when he was the head coach at Chandler, dominating, he was the head coach like that everybody was listening to on the high school stage, right? And he told his wife, he's like, I want to be that guy. I want to be the Division I coach one day.
That's awesome.
And here he is, just a couple years removed from being that Chandler head coach. Now he is a Division I head coach at Arizona State. We'll see how long it lasts, but he makes you want him to keep the job.
That's what's kind of getting lost in this sometimes with Sun Devil fans. Like for the casual, at least, like it's an interim coach. It's an interim coach. Ray Anderson in his press conference said, it's going to be a nationwide search, but of course we'll consider Aguano for the job depending on how the rest of the season goes. Like, this is a guy that could coach your team after this year. This isn't just somebody, excuse me, to fill in right now.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I mean, yeah, because the reality of it is if Aguano wasn't capable of doing this job, Glenn Thomas or Donnie would have been the head coach, or somebody else would have been the head coach.
Both with other experience. Donnie with NFL experience, and Glenn obviously with a lot of collegiate experience.
Like this didn't happen by mistake. It's not like it's like, oh, this would be fun. Like there's a reason that they think he's capable of at least maintaining this for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And if you think he can do that, then there's no reason you can't at least think that he potentially could be the long-term solution.
We'll see obviously what happens with the remainder of the season. This is what Aguano had to say at the press conference in terms of how he views the rest of the season.
That's something that I'm going to try to instill.
You're good. Let's see.
My bad, everyone. Here's this.
Good.
It's for us to push forward. Here's how I see this whole season is the last 3 games were preseason. This is where it all counts now, these next 9 games. And so we are at 0-0, and we are ready to play Arizona State football. And I'm here to inspire these kids to play that, and I think we're ready. So looking back at those 3 games will do us no good. I think we're going to look forward. This transition has been hard, and it's been 24 hours, but in reality, we got to get ready to go. And so I'm excited. If you look in the coaching world, there's probably maybe less than 1% of people that have the opportunity that I have. What you do with that opportunity is what counts. And so I look for that challenge. I'm excited, and I'm ready to go.
It's ready to go, man.
I'm ready to go.
I'm ready to go.
I'm gonna suit up on the D-line. Why not?
Strap up.
I don't think it would work, but I'll practice.
I'll take catches across the middle if I have to. I'll put my body on the line for this man.
Man, I'm so excited.
How do you feel about that mentality that the first 3 games and obviously non-conference is different? It's preseason.
Because this wasn't the team. This was not the team we know and saw in training camp. This was not the team we saw in fall camp. This team didn't allow rushing yards. They didn't do that.
Yeah. LTC in the chat saying Coach Aguano, he's an island boy. He is. He is an island boy. And kind of on that note, he got really emotional today when he was asked about how he is going to use his island upbringing and if he plans to implement it at all at Arizona State.
We need a Kleenex partnership.
Do we? I mean,
just for this segment.
Just for this segment. This is what he had to say about implementing that upbringing and just family in general.
That's something that I'm going to try to instill. That family environment. The thing that people can always talk about faith, family, football. Until you really understand and let the kids into your life and see what you are about that family, you really can't talk about it. And so how do I instill that? That's my family being around our kids, our coach's family being around our kids. Football is just a game. If I can teach them more than that, I think they'll be successful. Again, guys, I get a little teary because football is my life. Inspiring kids are my life. My kids sacrificed 20 years so I could do what I love. I want to make sure that I teach not only my kids, but I want to teach our kids that being a successful father, being a successful citizen in society. That's the most important. Now, let's all drop that and go play football, right? And so, but that ohana, that is a huge meaning for me, because it's all about family. And so I will instill in the next couple of weeks a couple of things that I think that will help our program.
You know what ohana means, right?
Family.
Ohana is family, and no one gets left behind.
Family, faith, and football. You hear it all the time. And I'm like, I've never seen a coach say that and then immediately get emotional when talking
as long
about
as he doesn't make a TikTok like Russell Wilson did about family, faith, and football, I'm fine.
Yeah.
My God.
Or any Brian Kelly-esque TikToks or anything like that.
Yeah, we don't need dancing with recruits.
I don't see that happening.
No, I don't either. But this guy, like, in terms of recruiting, I want to get on that for a second. Like, this is the type of guy that, like, again, if he were to come recruit Junior Totri, like, I would want Junior to go play for him, man.
Yeah. And also, talk about recruiting, like, there's some pretty good fucking football players in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Like, that's a whole other thing. Like, it's not just Arizona. Like, the what he could be able to do just in the West in general as a recruiter, on top of the fact that he is just like the kind of person like that Herm kind of was too. But I think he can. One of the problems with Herm that we were talking about earlier is you get Herm in your living room. Those parents are going to be like, I want my son to play for him.
Yeah.
But the son might not be like, I want to play for this old man. I feel like everyone's just like,
gap.
Yeah, it definitely bridges the gap. Exactly. Like, you get this man in the living room, it's like, okay, 18-year-old Junior Totri wants to run through a brick wall for him.
That's what I'm saying.
And Totri Senior is ready to also run through a brick wall for him, and he trusts this man to take care of his kid. And because that's like, especially at this level when you're taking in 17, 18-year-old kids, like, there's a portion of it that is helping these boys become men.
Yeah.
And like, he seems like the kind of guy that you would trust to do that with your son.
Plus, I know he's in his 50s, but
he doesn't seem like it.
No, not at all.
It doesn't seem like that, and it is younger, and he just got out of a high school, being a high school football coach. He knows the ins and outs of not only to connect with younger men like this, like that are coming in that want to turn into an NFL talent, but also be prepared for the real world. But he can also watch this landscape that he's seen evolve, and he didn't have to. He doesn't have any prior experience doing that. So this is all he knows.
Yeah,
he knows this landscape, and he saw the people that were the pioneers of it in terms of the athletes getting into NIL. He saw them grow up and transition into NFL players, and he knows what it takes to take that next step because he's coached them before they even went to college.
Yeah. It's super exciting, man. And it's only going to get more exciting as I think this season goes on, especially starting with Utah. Like, this is the chance, right? Like, there's a lot of excitement around Shaun Aguano, and he understands that the only thing that is going to get him this job is winning. There's no better opportunity than doing it on Saturday when Utah comes to town. Cameron Rising, all the noise. Everyone's going to be counting ASU out of that game, and it's just kind of like a wait and see. Let's see what happens. I believe Wednesday and Thursday are closed practices to media. Aguano said after the press conference that, you know, it's not going to be that way for the season, but he wants to get his guys right. He wants to implement a little bit of a new culture, and he's going to need a couple days to do that. I think everyone was pretty respectful of that and understanding that, look, this is his first time being a head coach, and he's got, you know, a pretty full plate over these next couple of weeks. So it's going to be interesting to see. We're going to get into the ASU Utah game as the week goes on, but I like the upset, man.
Yeah, Utah and Georgia.
No, they're not Georgia.
And Georgia talent. Yeah, it was Keely Ringo. He's talking about Jacob in the chat. The pick 6 in the national championship, Saguaro High School.
Yeah.
That could be the type of talent you attract here.
Yeah.
Denzel Burke, too.
Yep.
The starting cornerback for Ohio State. Also,
I mean, you look at the talent that he has already gotten to ASU.
Yeah.
Like, Chip Trainum, Tevin White, Daniel Ngata. Like, those are all his recruits.
Yeah, and I'm sure he had a role in getting Xavier Valade as well from the transfer portal.
Yeah, exactly.
He was talking about how, in terms of recruiting, it's going to be so different because as the running backs coach, he was only ever allowed one guy.
Yeah.
Right? So it wasn't necessarily about getting the Arizona guy with that one spot. He just had to get the best that he could. Yeah. But he said today, if it's, you know, you got 3, 4, 5 running backs or players just across the country with equal talent, he said, I'm going to choose the guy that wants to go to Arizona State every single time.
Yeah. And the Arizona thing, it's not only big because, you know, it just was kind of neglected here, but it's so big for the fan base. How many times have we heard the pity that is laid upon everybody in Arizona because all of these guys are leaving the state they grew up in. They don't want to go to ASU. It's big for the fan base too. That's something that's really important to the fan base, especially the people that grew up in Arizona and went to Arizona State and still live in the state of Arizona. It's keeping the talent here, and he can do that. And obviously will help the product on the field, but also maybe donors, maybe more fans show up because, you know, this guy went to Chandler, this guy went to Saguaro, this guy went to Hamilton.
Yeah.
It's huge, man.
It's going to be fun, man. I'm super excited to see what that spread is like and the total on that ASU Utah game. Like I said, I think ASU is going to be just heavy underdogs, and I don't think the books are going to be like give them much of a chance.
I thought Nebraska was going to be heavy underdog, and they're only 11-point dogs.
I'm excited to see what do you think it'll open at?
15.5.
You think 15.5?
15.5. Yeah. No, 13.5 to entice more bets on Utah.
Okay. I'm interested to see what it is. If you're going to bet on that game, do it on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Obviously, ASU football is a couple days away from that Utah game.
It's already up. It's 14.5.
14.5.
14.5.
Give me ASU money line. Give me ASU money line. If you're going to place a bet on that game, do it on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Obviously, like I said, still a few days away from that game, but there is a Monday night NFL doubleheader getting going here in just less than an hour. Bills Titans is the first game, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Bills Titans first game
4:10, I believe, and then Vikings Eagles at 5.
Josh Allen Super Soldier.
Hey man, I love Monday night doubleheaders. And right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in free bets instantly on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Plus, everyone can experience the thrill of DraftKings early win promotion. Bet on any NFL team to win, and if your team leads by 10 at any point during the game, you get paid instantly, even if your team loses. It's simple. Download DraftKings Sportsbook. Use promo code PHNX. That's promo code PHNX on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions do apply. See show notes for more details. Guys, let's talk about the expectations for Aguano, right? Because you don't win this job at a press conference. You may win people's hearts, which I think if you were going to give a grade for this press conference, I think Aguano would get an A+, because I think he sold it to the fans, he sold it to the media, and he sold it to Ray, who was in attendance today. What are the expectations in terms of winning? Like, is there a certain number of games he has to win? Are there specific games he has to win to keep this job, you think?
Colorado, well, to keep the job, I don't know. What I expect from him at the bare minimum is Colorado and U of A. Like, not that I necessarily expect this team to beat U of A, but like, kind of have to beat U of A.
Do you think those wins get him the job, though? Only 2 more wins on the season?
I don't know if those alone get him the job. If he's competitive, at least against Utah and USC, and it looks like the team is like has their shit together, that could be enough. But
to get the job next year, you have to win one of the big games you should win.
That's what
you have to beat Utah, you have to beat USC, or you have to beat Washington, I think. But that's
Washington,
not it.
Dude, Washington is one of those big games now.
I mean,
now that's almost a good thing.
They got ranked,
for
right?
ASU. Yeah, they're ranked. They're still ranked behind Michigan State somehow.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's also crazy that Oregon State isn't ranked yet.
But I think it's not even that. I think you also have to win the 2 games that I think you should.
Colorado and U of A.
But you have to be competitive. I think the litmus test more is on what the players feel like and the recruiting and what goes into how this team responds to the first game of the season, a quick 24-hour turnaround. Does this offense look better? Do the players look more invested? What is the response from the fans? Like, that all goes into this.
Yeah,
I don't think you can set a win-loss total. I think that if you don't beat one of these premier teams, and I probably don't know if he's in it, and I think you go big game hunting, I just think it's more on how this team looks on the field.
Yeah.
I feel like it's probably one of those things where it's like the more he does, the bigger the name needs to be in order to replace him.
But
like if he wins out, then I don't think anybody's replacing him.
Oh yeah, if he wins out,
if he beats USC,
there might be other schools interested in taking this.
And you talk about him throwing the last 3 games away. You literally can. You're 0-0.
Yeah,
you're 0-0 in conference play, and that's what matters. You can still win the Pac-12. You can.
Yeah.
If Shaun Aguano finds a way to win the Pac-12, pay him now.
Not my expectation. It's a theoretical thing. You are literally 0-0 right now.
Yeah.
And also, even if Herm was still here and they went out in the conference, like if you look back at the season, it's like, okay, one pretty terrible fucking loss against Eastern Michigan, and then one loss to a very good Oklahoma State team. That's a pretty good season.
Yeah. And but I think at that point, there are still people that wouldn't want Herm at the coach.
Oh, obviously. Yeah. I mean, people that before they played a game this year,
yeah. Want Herm Jacob in the chat saying if he has a conference play record of 500 or better, I think he gets it, but also being competitive in games no matter what.
You can't lay an egg.
No, yeah, and I was telling Shaun earlier, I think you have to win one of these next 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
That's a premier resume win. You have to beat Colorado, and you have to beat U of A. I agree with you. You have to be competitive in a lot of these other games, but you need that premier win, and you need that territorial cup win.
I think the biggest thing, though, at the end of the day, is if there is no game where they don't look motivated, like if you go out there and there's a game where you don't look motivated, then I don't think he gets a job because what are we doing? What are we here for? Yeah. This is the biggest thing. He needs the players to be fully bought in.
Yeah. I don't think he needs to. I don't think this team needs to win against Utah or USC for him to keep the job. Like those are games that you should not expect this team, even if Herm was still here and nothing had been gone wrong. Like those aren't games you should expect.
You shouldn't expect to.
But it's so hard to keep a job as an interim coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true.
Like you've got to have something to pitch, right? Because what Ray is going to say is, look,
Sun Bowl's not going to do it.
No, what Ray is going to say is, look, we gave you an opportunity. You talked about how you were confident and that you wanted to play the best teams. Guess what? You played the best 3 teams in the Pac-12 and you didn't win a single time. And especially if they lose U of A, okay, you could say what you want about Herm, but he was 4-0 in the Territorial Cup. If Shaun Aguano comes and they lose to U of A, regardless of how U of A season goes,
losing to U of A in Colorado would be tough, but also like if they don't beat Utah, it's like you're gonna hold that against a guy who had 5 days basically to prepare.
Not necessarily.
No. I don't think the Utah game is as big as winning against USC or Washington. I think Washington is enough.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because they'll be ranked at that time.
It's still a premier win.
Is that in the PNW?
No, that's at home. It's here. But they do.
USC games in the USC.
Oh, they host Oregon State here too. But they do go to Pullman.
That's gonna be tough.
Yeah, but
that might be enough.
Honestly, I think Stanford is the only one that doesn't really move the needle because obviously you have to beat Colorado and Arizona. But if they win any of these other conference games, Oregon State, Washington State, UCLA, Washington, I think that gets them because the likelihood is that all of those teams will be ranked at the time that they play them.
UCLA.
Well, not UCLA, excuse me, but Washington State and Oregon State, assuming things kind of stay the course.
Yeah.
Because those are two teams that got votes this week.
Yep.
Like you never know, though. The Pac-12 tears itself apart.
Washington State should have already been ranked.
And
so should Oregon State.
It is the most Arizona State thing to do, to lay an egg and have your worst non-conference loss in however long against Eastern Michigan, and then turn around and beat a top 15 team. Look, everybody was super, super high on Florida, right? Because of Anthony Richardson and what they were able to do to Utah and Cameron Rising in that week 1 game. Florida hasn't done shit since then.
You know, Anthony Richardson has more tackles than touchdowns.
Yeah,
that's actually crazy.
Thought he was going to be him. He is.
He is him.
But Utah's a beatable team, is what I'm saying.
He's Kyler Murray right now.
He's Kyler Murray.
Mm-hmm. Well, not after last night's win, but he's incredible individual talent. But the team doesn't win.
Yeah.
What about from a culture perspective, right? Because you've got a lot of people on the outside that want Shaun Aguano to be successful, but the culture within this team, and we'll get to players and stuff and social media a little bit later, but like, what does this culture need to look like or shift toward for him to keep this job? Wins aside,
I think that family thing is huge. Like, if you can get the feeling when you're out there that this is a family, which I mean you kind of got from the players' perspective. Like, I feel like the players had each other's back, but like, from top to bottom, if the coaches and the players and everybody, like you could tell that it's a family.
Yeah.
And he does really incorporate that Ohana thing that you see at a number of programs. You see at a school like BYU in Utah, who I believe both have Hawaiian coaches, I think. Like that I think is what you need from this culture, is like just to believe, is to really feel like it's a family and that they're going out to play for each other and not just themselves.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. Again, the Shaun Aguano audition starts this weekend against Utah. We're all excited to see what happens. Now, where are you guys going to be watching the game? Hopefully it's at Four Peaks, because we are going to be having another blast over there. Are they bringing out the 22-foot TV again?
Well, it's not a watch party.
No, I know, but I was just curious if they were bringing out the 20-foot TV.
I'm not sure if there's any need for it. I think we'll be drinking.
Going to be drinking. Do we have the full screen by chance to show everybody what we're going to be doing? Look, guys, if you haven't already gotten your tickets, go do it. It's $50 a ticket. Now, I know you're probably thinking, that's a little expensive, but you get 2 beers and all-you-can-eat buffet and a ride to the game.
On a bus.
On a bus.
And a fun bus.
A fun bus?
Yeah, because I'm going to be on that bus.
Look, man, Herm's out. ASU's got a new coach. Come out to the Four Peaks tailgate this Saturday to will the team on. Like we said, $50 gets you all-you-can-eat buffet, 2 Four Peaks beers, and a free ride to the stadium. Check the link in our show notes to sign up. You do got to be 21 or older and enjoy responsibly. Guys, let's talk about social media for a second, okay? Because following the Eastern Michigan game, social media kind of went nuts. Obviously, you have your clip that is the funniest moment in this show's history. And
just dudes.
Just dudes. Guys. Just fellas out there.
Snap the ball.
But social media, players like tweets themselves. I want to get into that a little bit because I think that kind of signifies that there was such a disconnect after that game specifically. Jalen Conyers, tight end for ASU, he had tweeted this out a couple days ago, and it's pretty much a statement to the fans. This is what it had to say. He said, just wanted to say, we get the fans' frustration because we are too. However, booing us in our own stadium with maybe half the seats filled is not what us as players work and practice for every single day. All we want to do is make Sun Devil Nation proud, but fans coming to the game simply just to yell at the players and coaches or to criticize and boo us is quite frankly ridiculous. And honestly, if you are one of those people, just don't come to the games. We don't need that negativity. All we ask is for y'all's support and cheers. Even through the ups and downs, I've seen numerous teams come back and win games because of the impact the fan base brings. For us, the players, we're going to continue to do our part and try our hearts out to win games every single week we step on the field. But we need y'all, the fans' help. I hope we have a huge turnout for this week's game against Utah, where we plan on shocking a lot of people Saturday night. I will forever be grateful for getting the opportunity to transfer here and play for such an amazing team. Fans, we need y'all plain and simple. Be there, forks up.
Yeah, I mean, I completely get it. I've always griped about this. The fan base sometimes is a lot of the time is so negative when it comes to this team, and they're very quick to the world is on fire kind of mentality. But yeah, the players do not deserve this. The players do not deserve this at all. Yelling at collegiate athletes is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, and I completely agree with it. And it just sucks because they do work hard.
Yeah.
And I do hope that there is a big turnout, and I really, really hope they're loud because I think something special could happen. And he's so right. Maybe the game goes differently if the fans don't give up at halftime. Yeah. A lot of people left.
Yeah.
And the people that stayed were doing it in spite of the team.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think you ever, I agree with him. I don't think you ever really gain anything by calling out fans. I don't think it just never really goes well. Do you see what Justin Fields did today, by the way? You see his comment? He was like, I don't think it hurts as much for the Bears fans as the players in the locker room because they're not out there. Like, they don't put any work in like we do.
That's
it's true, but also it's not gonna help you is my point. But I mean, he's absolutely right. Like, fans do need.
They think they deserve something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you're not entitled to anything, especially if you're not showing up. And when you do show up, you're just negative off rip and expecting the worst.
Same thing as last week with Oklahoma State. The people coming out just to see that the game is nationally televised, they watch it, they tune in for a second, then they're like, this team sucks, bye, and then they don't talk about them. We don't need your opinion.
So we had a couple more tweets that I want to pull up. This one's from devilsdigest.com. And the tweet itself said, I've seen some bad non-conference losses in my 22 years covering the team, but what I saw tonight tops them all. Lack of preparation doesn't even come close to describing what took place. And now Joe Healy, following that tweet, tweeted, burn it all down. And the reason I show these tweets is because obviously these aren't people on the Arizona State football team. However, Arizona State football players liked those tweets following that game. And it says something, right? Burn it all down. When you have players liking those tweets or, they weren't prepared, whatever, like, it says something, right? That maybe this team was ready to move on. Like, they can't go out and say it.
We speculated that after the game happened. We said this is a team that is good at defending the run doesn't magically give up 200 yards to a MAC running back.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen like that. Yeah, you might get outworked because you're unmotivated, but you're unmotivated for a reason, and that reason is probably because you're not bought into what you're doing on the field. The product on the field is very, very much resemblant of what happened in practice that week, and that's what Ngata said on our show, and that's what Emery said in the post-game presser. There was no energy in practice this week. We felt like we weren't prepared.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally what we said. Like they weren't prepared, but there's a reason they're not prepared. It's not because these guys are just.
It's not because they don't care.
It's not. Yeah, exactly. It's not because they don't care. Especially after one loss to Oklahoma State. Like all of a sudden, after hearing how much everything that we heard from them in the offseason, all of a sudden they just lost the faith because they lost to a top 15 team. No, they just clearly weren't bought into what the higher ups were selling anymore, and most likely specifically Herm. Yeah. Like, so yeah. I mean, that just kind of confirms what we speculated, right? That they knew that there needed to be a change, and once that happens, once you lose the locker room, like there's no coming back. Like you have to make a change at that point. Which again, props to Ray for actually pulling the trigger there. Yeah,
I don't think a lot of us saw that coming. So yeah, definitely props to him owning the mistake.
This is slight aside. You know what my friend sent me today? You know what Nesson is?
No,
it's the New England sports network. It's okay. They broadcast Red Sox games, stuff like that. They're like the New England sports news outlet.
Okay. New England Sports Network.
Yeah, but that's what I said. But they're just like the outlet. They had wrote a story today speculating that Herm was fired on the field. That conversation that we saw between Herm, Michael Crow, and Ray Anderson, that he was fired right there in that conversation on the field. And one of my friends said it to me. I was like, "What are you talking about? There's no way that they made that rash of a decision and just fired him right there." No. With the potential that someone would see.
Well, it's because it's a outlet that isn't around the team, and they don't know that Michael Crow and Ray Anderson and Herm Edwards do this after every game.
Yeah, they would never do that. And Michael Crow and Ray and Michael Crow, Ray and Herm have such a great a long storied relationship. There's no way that Ray would do that to Herm like that.
No,
but of course, don't know the program, so you would speculate that. I got triggered by that. I was like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Nothing.
So lame.
Nothing at all. Look, man, I don't know. It's odd. It's weird. It is what it is. Herm's not going to be on the field anymore for Arizona State. I think there's a lot of people that are happy about that. They should also be happy about Burrito Express. You know why? Because they've got some new custom Burrito Express themed first responder shirt. What's it been a minute?
Since I had a burrito.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it has been a minute. You want to go get one tomorrow?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Burrito Express will be there tomorrow to grab some breakfast burritos, probably. And you guys should go to get their new custom Burrito Express themed first responder shirt with all proceeds going to the Tunnels to Towers organization. They're only $25, and they're going to hook you up with a free burrito. Get them while they're hot. They're now available at all Burrito Express locations, not just the Tempe location. Seriously, guys, go get the shirt. It's dope. It goes to a good cause, and they're going to hook you up with the best breakfast burrito or just best burrito in town, to be honest with you. So go do it. They're great. Before we get out of here, real quick, interim effect. Because we've seen in college football and NFL football too that interim coaches, despite, sometimes some hype following the firing or parting ways of another coach, sometimes interim coaches don't always work. We saw it last week with Mickey Joseph, interim coach at Nebraska. Players, whatever, they did lose to number 6 Oklahoma, so you got to keep that in mind as well. 49-14. I want to talk a little bit about Marcus Freeman. Obviously, he wasn't necessarily the interim coach when they played in the Fiesta Bowl last year. He had already been given the job. But in his first game, they lost to Oklahoma State after leading by like 20-something points at half. Yeah. And then Luke Fickell, who has turned into a phenomenal coach for Cincinnati. He was an interim coach at Ohio State. The team did end up going 6-7. So, there's coaches that don't necessarily have great starts to their interim term, right? However, they turn out to be good coaches down the line.
Are you preparing us?
I mean, it is what it is. Look, Luke Fickell's phenomenal coach at Cincinnati, right? And there are a lot of teams that would love to have him as their head coach. Arizona State was brought up, just as soon as Herm was fired, as Luke Fickell potentially being an option. I don't see him leaving that job for this job. Marcus Freeman, people love Marcus Freeman. Yeah. Now, he lost that Ohio State game. He lost to Marshall. He got his first dub this past weekend. Barely beat Cal. But people love that guy.
Yeah.
Right? And I think he's going to be a good coach moving forward. Mickey Joseph, I have no idea what the hell is going to happen there. I've never heard of him before this past week.
But you know why it usually works out? Because they're hungry.
They are hungry.
They're dogs. Hungry.
They're dogs. Can we get a bark?
Oh.
There we go.
Stop. Can we stop that? Can we stop that? Not the barking.
I know.
Deion Sanders.
I know.
Deion Sanders is not coaching at Arizona State. He would not be successful if he was here. The situation at Jackson State is incredibly unique. And it would not translate just about anywhere else.
Plus, I'm so done with the noise. I want a football coach that wins football games.
Yeah.
It would be
so
fun.
hard?
It would be fun, but not for the right reasons. Like, Deion Sanders is not coming.
It would be great for
Did we
Myers
learn nothing about former NFL ties with big personalities?
You have no real experience coaching at the Division I level.
Don't do it. Don't buy into it. Don't whatever. Like, I am totally fine taking a guy who, like, I'm more here for Shaun Aguano than I am Deion Sanders, for Ed Orgeron, for any of those big names that at the end of the day, you don't know what you're going to get.
Right now.
Yeah. Right now. Right now.
ASU is not hiring a guy that you probably know. I think, like, unless you read his name in an article that got released in the last 24 hours that was saying who might replace Herm Edwards, and they're listing offensive and defensive coordinators from various schools. It's the ASU is not getting Ed Orgeron. They're not getting Deion Sanders. They're not getting Urban Meyer. They're not.
Cole, the anger wasn't directed towards you.
He's just an angry guy.
We've heard it so much. I was.
Yeah. But Saul, our GM, was texting us about it earlier, and it was like, it's not happening.
He doesn't care about what's best for us. He cares about what's best for us.
And it would be pretty good. It would be electric.
But how about we start winning games?
Yeah, let's do that.
That'd be good for us.
That's true. That's true. Hey, we appreciate you guys tuning in on a Monday. There was like 50 of you guys in here. That's super awesome. We're going to be live just about every single day this week at 3 p.m. So definitely come back. Not necessarily sure which of these two studios we're going to be in, but they're both great. And it's more furniture that hooked us up with all of this great stuff. Look at these chairs. I need some in my living room, to be honest with you. If you'd like some, check out.
You need a living room?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, man. If you guys want to take a look at getting some of this furniture yourself, you can go to morefurniture.com, and they do have a fall sale. So go spruce up your home with some more furniture stuff. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. You can give us a follow at PHNX_Sun Devils on social. You can follow me at Anthony_Totri. You can follow Shane at Shane Deef, and you can follow Shaun DePause at Shaun_DePause.
I'm not doing it as always. Alternatively, I'm giving a quick shout out to ASU women's soccer because they've 2 straight times have beaten a team 5-0. And Nicole Douglas, who got the program record for career goals with 51 earlier this month, was just named Pac-12 Player of the Week.
As always.
So
as always,
shout out other sports as always.
We'll see you guys Tuesday at 3 p.m. Peace.